लाल मातीतली कुस्ती म्हणजे
झी 24 तासच्या हेल्थ आयकॉन या विशेष कार्यक्रमात मी तुम्हा सर्वांचं मनःपूर्वक स्वागत करते. आपण आजच्या या कार्यक्रमामध्ये आकाश बायोमेट्रिक्स प्रायव्हेट लिमिटेड यांचे विशेष आभार मानतोय. त्याबरोबरच कार्यक्रमाचे प्रमुख पाहुणे युनियन अँड स्टेट मिनिस्टर NCSC व्हाईस चेअरपर्सन श्री अरुण हलदर जी, त्यांचं मनःपूर्वक स्वागत. त्यासोबतच कार्यक्रमाचे सन्माननीय पाहुणे डॉक्टर युताका निहारा आणि उपस्थित सर्व मान्यवर यांचं मी पुन्हा एकदा मनःपूर्वक स्वागत करते. गेल्या 2 वर्षातली परिस्थिती पाहता हे सर्वांच्या साधारणतः लक्षात आलेलं असेल की डॉक्टर हे आपल्यासाठी किती महत्त्वाचे ठरलेले आहेत. कोविडच्या काळामध्ये अतिशय महत्त्वाची भूमिका बजावणारे आणि रुग्णांची अविरत सेवा करणारे डॉक्टर्सच होते. संपूर्ण जग थांबलेलं होतं, मात्र डॉक्टर्स काही केल्या थांबलेले नव्हते. आज या कार्यक्रमामध्ये आपण चर्चा करणार आहोत वैद्यकीय क्षेत्राशी संबंधित आणि त्यासाठी आपल्यासोबतच आहेत आंतरराष्ट्रीय ख्याती असणारे तज्ज्ञ. यासोबतच वैद्यकीय क्षेत्रामध्ये उल्लेखनीय कामगिरी करणाऱ्यांचा आज या व्यासपीठावर आपण गौरव करणार आहोत. आज या कार्यक्रमात एक खास पाहुण्या देखील आलेले आहेत. हेल्थ आयकॉन्स या कार्यक्रमाला लाभलेले आहेत. ब्युटी विथ ब्रेन्स म्हणून ओळखल्या जाणाऱ्या प्रसिद्ध मॉडेल अभिनेत्री डॉक्टर अदिती गोवित्रीकर यांचं आपण टाळ्यांनी जोरदार स्वागत करूयात. अदिती यांनी ग्लॅडरॅक सुपर मॉडेल तसंच मिसेस वर्ल्ड हे दोन्ही खिताब स्वतःच्या नावावर केलेले आहेत. डॉक्टर अदिती यांनी अनेक बॉलिवूड आणि तेलुगू फिल्म्स देखील केलेल्या आहेत. तसंच काही आयकॉनिक म्युझिक व्हिडिओजमध्ये आणि जाहिरात क्षेत्रात आपला ठसा त्यांनी चांगलाच उमटवला आहे. या सगळ्याच्या पलीकडे डॉक्टर अदिती सध्या एक प्रमाणित मानसशास्त्रज्ञ तसंच समुपदेशक आणि मार्गदर्शक कॉर्पोरेट्स म्हणून परिवर्तनशील कार्यशाळेसह सराव आणि मार्गदर्शन करतायत. आपण व्यासपीठावर आमंत्रित करूयात डॉक्टर अदिती गोवित्रीकर यांचं.
Thank you so much for the kind introduction. Good evening, everybody. We are gathered here on this platform to discuss about the sickle cell disease in India. I was surprised to find out that there are over 20 million people afflicted with this disease, and I'm a doctor. We are glad to announce today that an FDA-approved and reliable medicine, Endari, is being introduced by Dr. Yataka Nihara in India. It is a pleasure to show you a small audiovisual of the sickle cell disease.
I remember the pain crises I've had that stood out the most to me was when I had the acute chest and my lungs filled up. And the doctor showed me an x-ray of my lungs, and you could see that one of them was full with liquid and the other one was had like this much space in it, like it was like a quarter of air in my lungs, and I was drowning from the inside. I remember the doctors talking to me a lot about what they were going to do and how things didn't look good at that time and what was my body going to do. I remember the pain like it was yesterday. I definitely don't want to have another one, but I've had that twice in my life. Once when I was 5 and then again when I was 12.
This is a hereditary disease that affect minority people, especially people of African origin, people from Middle East, India, South America, or Hispanic area. This gene was preserved over the years, probably because this has a preventive effect of malaria. But then if people who have one gene get together with another person who has one gene and have a child, there's a chance that the child can have 2 genes that affect them, and then they will have a severe disease that affects the red blood cells. And the red blood cells become hardened and sticky in such a way that it blocks the small blood vessels. So it's like causing stroke or heart attack throughout the body.
I would be in the hospital and I'm continuously feeling this pain, like ripping pain inside of me. It was like level 10 for hours.
It's one of those pain for most of us that we get to experience maybe once in a lifetime or never. Except that these people are experiencing this on weekly basis, sometimes even daily basis.
With this disease, I can't really be independent by myself. I need somebody around me. Most people my age are, they have their career going, starting families and stuff. And I'm just kind of like being babysit.
What we saw in Juanita was quite dramatic. She was in our major phase 2 study when she was in high school. When we started her on treatment, she was going in and out of the hospital quite frequently. She had really no hopes of really getting involved with the extracurricular activities, or she thought that she would never even go to prom. And that's something that most sickle cell patients, do not really expect.
I think the first time I found hope was when I was taking Andari, and I started noticing that I was going to the hospital less, and I could actually start planning things out for the future instead of planning when's the next time I'm going to go to the hospital. During
the year that she was on, she got so much better. She used to be hospitalized, I believe, every month. But I think in the whole year, she was hospitalized only once during our treatment. And then she even went to prom that year.
What's gone on at LA Biomed as far as a treatment for sickle cell disease is concerned is really important, not just for people who suffer in the United States, where the numbers might be small, but for the potential of actually treating up to 25 million people who suffer almost on a daily basis around the world. And the nice thing about this treatment, Andari, is that it's very simple, straightforward, and easy to take. You stir it twice a day in water and you drink it, and about 75% of the difficulties that you encounter by having sickle cell disease go away.
At LA Biomed, we tend to come up with something simple, but I guess the advantage that we have at LA Biomed is we are exposed to patients all the time. So we're really putting our patients first. I think that's the reason why we come up with something simple and practical in a way.
I'm not on Facebook a lot, but one day I decided to check my messenger, and there was a lot of people with sickle cell that was reaching out, and they were telling me about their struggle with sickle cell and how they want to try Andari. They were basically asking me my opinion on it, and it makes me realize how blessed I am, how, I could have been like this person that didn't know about Andari and was just going to the hospital like a routine, and to share this with other people with sickle cell and let them know that, there is relief. It will help you greatly.
A lot of people in this country, and God bless them, want to make a difference. But very often they're not able to. LA Biomed and the support that we get from donors can go to places where other people aren't in a position to go. That is of major significance to patients, people who suffer with inherited diseases, and ultimately, as is the case with our treatment for sickle cell disease, something that's going to have a global impact, affecting many, many millions of people worldwide.
May I now request Dr. Yataka Nihara, who is an MD, MPH, and the chairman and CEO of Emmaus Life Sciences, California, USA, to join us on stage for the PowerPoint presentation, please. Sir. He is a professor at the UCLA Medical University. He is a world-renowned doctor with specialty. Welcome. in hematology and oncology and has published dozens of peer-reviewed medical papers in prestigious medical journals. He has won several awards, including the Super Doctor of the state of California.
Thank you, dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, and all the organizers for this event. I'm truly, truly honored on behalf of all those people who are involved trying to do something for sickle cell disease and other rare diseases. Until just a few weeks ago, I did not even know that India had so many sickle cell patients, thanks to my friends here, Sid and Anand, who told me I was only focusing on Africa. Actually, I was focusing on many other places, and then eventually I want to go to Africa because that's where I thought most of the patients are. Then they reminded me that look into India. So I did. Well, until just a year ago, official number of sickle cell patients in India was 1 million. That is a lot. However, it wasn't like 20 million, which we were estimating in Africa. Then, most recently, the official number came out, which is over 20 million, and that really blew me away. I knew that India was going to be our eventual target, but this certainly increased my urgency to come to India, hopefully, because I don't want to make it sound like I'm bragging, and maybe I am. When I first started, I wanted to become a medical missionary, so I started studying religion with all the other pastors at the Seventh-day Adventist school in California. Then I went to medical school because I wanted to become like Albert Schweitzer. But first year in medical school, I realized, this was a long time ago, 1982, gene therapy might be the future for treatment of cancer because they were starting to discover cancer genes for the first time. So I wanted to study hematology and oncology, basically oncology. So I went into oncology. I studied at Harbor UCLA Medical Center. But what happened was when I was at Harbor UCLA Medical Center, I encountered many sickle cell patients. Initially, I didn't pay much attention to them as having such a severe disease. But more and more, I realized that despite all the knowledge that we have for sickle cell disease, there was absolutely no treatment for sickle cell disease. This is 1992. And I was compelled because they were not only suffering from this severe pain that most of us will never experience. Some of them describe this pain as somebody hitting your shin with your bat constantly, not just softly, but really hard. And I can't just imagine. And I could tell that these patients were really real because I give so much narcotics, including morphine, sometimes 10 times more than I do for terminal cancer patients, and the pain is still there. So that's when I decided maybe I should do something for this disease. And ever since, I have only focused on sickle cell disease as my primary interest. And now here I am in India, and I'm so honored realizing that this may be the place where we can really, really make a difference. Why in India? Well, as I mentioned in the earlier video, this gene was, in a way, survival tool for patients who live in areas where malaria was rampant. However, if they become a carrier by having only one gene, they're good. But if you have two, they'll have a sickle cell disease where in those areas, 80% of patients will die before reaching age 5. India not only have sickle cell disease, but also have alpha thalassemia, which is another type of anemia, but usually it doesn't cause any pain. There are conditions that may further complicate sickle cell disease in Africa and some of the areas of India because of nutrition, infection, parasites, deficiency of essential micronutrients, and of course, malnutrition. I'm repeating myself. When somebody have a migraine headache, the pain is severe, but usually it does not cause brain damage. Sickle cell disease, it is different. Every time they're having pain, it's destroying part of their bodies because it's blocking small blood vessels, just like heart attack or strokes will do. But we have to come up with treatment that is, again, safe, effective, and practical. Now, few other treatments have been approved, but none of them are safe or effective as much as Endari, because no other medication so far has shown to reduce the rate of hospitalization. Certainly not practical, because most other treatments are either cancer-causing medication or IV medication that has a lot of side effects, where patients will have to be hospitalized for the side effects. Endari is different. We may be able to make sickle cell disease into a chronic disease, just like high blood pressure or diabetes, or even HIV. In 1980s, HIV was deadly disease, very, very deadly. But by 1992, HIV was something that we could manage. By late 1990s, it's easier than having any lung disease or heart disease. Today, we don't even worry about people with HIV so much, because if we give them proper medication, they survive and they lead the normal lifestyle as anybody else. Anyhow, this is Endari. Endari comes in this box, and it's a powder, amino acid powder, pharmaceutical grade amino acid powder. The reason why it's powder is just like food, you have to take fairly high dose. But it's very easy to take. You take, in case of adult, 30 grams is about a handful of powder, mix in water, and take it just in one drink, or you can put it over cereal or something. It's a tasteless powder. Now, in our study, we have seen 25% fewer crises, but then when we extrapolate it into annual data, in 1 year's time, we can actually reduce this crisis by 50%. Well, anyway, we not only reduce the hospitalization, but reduce the duration of staying in the hospital by 45%. And when it came to that horrendous acute chest syndrome, we were reducing this by 63%, pharmacoeconomic analysis, that at least in US, we can reduce our medical care for sickle cell patients significantly less. That's the reason why all the insurance companies cover for Endari now, starting with the government insurance. So, thank you very much.
That was a truly informative presentation, isn't it? Let's applaud him once more, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. And now I would like to invite a very special person who has graced this occasion, our chief guest, Mr. Arun Haldar, Vice Chairman, National Commission for Scheduled Castes, who has a status of Union Minister. He is the first person hailing from West Bengal appointed as Vice Chairman, NCSC constitutional post appointed by Honorable President of India.
ये डिजीज ऐसे एक डिजीज है, डिजीज जिसका घर में होता है वही जानता है कि प्रॉब्लम क्या होता है, समस्या क्या होता है। आज मैंने ज़िंदगी में ऐसे बहुत केस देखा है जो लोगों को पास जो जब हो जाता है इस टाइप का डिजीज, जितने बड़े लोग भी हो और जितने अमीर हो, इनका परेशानी क्या होता है। जो एक बच्चा जब पैदा होने का बाद इस टाइप का डिजीज लेके ना उनका पिता माता का क्या दर्द होता है, और इस सब्जेक्ट लेके अपने ज़िंदगी में पूरे समय इन लोगों के लगा कि इनका मन में भी ऐसा फीलिंग हुआ है। जो डॉक्टर आज इधर में हमारे इधर में है, इतना महान डॉक्टर दुनिया में अपना नाम रोशन करके हमारे जैसे इंडिया में इन्हें पधारा हुआ है, उनको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद दे के मैं छोटा नहीं करना चाहता हूँ। उनको बहुत आभारी हूँ जो हमारे देश में आप आए हैं, और इस सब्जेक्ट को लेके पूरा देश को जानकारी होना चाहिए, और इस संदिग्ध में इस सब्जेक्ट को समझाना चाहिए जो कितना कठिन परिस्थितियों में हमारे देश में भी एक विराट संख्यक लोगों को ये डिजीज होता है अभी। तो इसलिए मैं इस प्रोग्राम को जैसे आगे जा सकता है, इसको साकार रूप हो सकता है, जिस समस्याओं के सामने कठिन परिस्थितियों के सामने पढ़ना पड़ सकता है, लेकिन उसको सब्जेक्ट में हम लोगों के एक अच्छा दिशा लेके भारत में एक काम जैसे चल सकता है इसी हिसाब से हम लोग चलेंगे। लेकिन इसको आगे से आगे देश पे कोने कोने में लेके जाने का काम हम लोगों को करना पड़ेगा, और उसके बाद ही हमारे इस सेक्टर को, जिस सेक्टर को सेफगार्ड करने आज बात उठे, उस सेक्टर हम लोग सेफगार्ड कर पाएंगे और उसको हम लोग बचा पाएंगे। और बहुत ऐसे माँ बाप को हम लोग को आशीर्वाद हम लोगों को मिलेगा जिसको पहले से ही हम लोग अवेयरनेस देके उनको माने उसको अलर्ट कर सकता है। इसके लिए हमको काम करना पड़ेगा। समाज के लिए हम लोग अगर आया है, ये समाज के लिए हम लोग काम करना पड़ेगा। रिटर्न देने का बहुत बड़ा मौका इस सब्जेक्ट से आपका सामने आ गया। इस समाज को हम लोग कुछ इस सब्जेक्ट लेके सामने जाके हम समाज को कुछ रिटर्न देंगे, ये शपथ लेके हम लोग इसी जगह से जाएंगे। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, नमस्कार।
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us. May I now request Mr. Anand Singh to join us here on stage. He is the founder, director of Beverly Hills Family Office Networks and a fund manager. He has accompanied Dr. Yataka Nihara to India to examine various investment possibilities. Mr. Anand, may I request you to say a few words?
Dr. Nihara is a dear friend. Dr. Nihara, getting to know what he was actually doing and what his mission in life was so impressive to us that we started to understand the need and try to understand what sickle cell was. And when we understood what sickle cell was in India, we took it upon ourselves to convince him to move forward and come to India, to accelerate the timetable and not concentrate on Africa or the Middle East, continue his work there, but make India a priority. This disease affects children. Most children die that get this. This will be a life-saving drug that will be able to save little children, babies will be able to grow up, and people will be able to live their lives mostly pain-free. So that is the hope, and we are here, and we are grateful for the opportunity to be here, and we look forward to this. माननीय मंत्री महोदय से बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। आपका आशीर्वाद और आपके आश्वासन से हम बहुत प्रसन्न हैं और ये देखेंगे कि इस देश में और विश्व में इस रोग से राहत मिले। धन्यवाद।
Thank you so much for getting Dr. Nihara here, for getting the medicine here. I know you have a big contribution towards that, so thank you very much.